Some 50 years ago, Bernard and Geraldine Cotton set out on an epic journey to identify the origins of furniture made for the homes of working people, and to record, where possible, the names of makers and the social context in which it was used. On the 9th of September 2024, friends and colleagues from the Cottons' life in research gathered at the Museum of the Home in London to celebrate their monumental achievement and this landmark donation. Why furniture?
Well, are you ready for the real answer? When I was at college, there was a wonderful, charismatic teacher who taught making furniture. You had to make your own tools, metal tools, and cut your own timber and make things from it. And I was so infatuated with doing that. And then when I came to teach in Fairford, near to Lechlade, and I bought a house that had been empty for 24 years, and I was 24 years of age. I had to get some money to restore it, and I began restoring furniture and selling it, because I'd learned from my college tutor how to do that and how to use the tools. And so that's how I got started on it. But every piece of furniture that I restored for sale, I looked at it in detail. And I began to learn all sorts of things about the difference between different furniture, because before that time, people thought that it was just lots of different things. It never occurred to anybody that there was a method within it that told us something about why it looked so different. And I then capished that it was about the region that it came from. That was my eureka moment. The architecture was different in every region, and so was the way that people earned their living and the financial aspects of it. Everything was different in the different areas. Some were very prosperous, some were very poor, and the furniture reflects that. And so we had to put the whole social history around it to understand what was made in different regions. And that's what I've had lots of fun doing.
And not fun alone. I mean, you've been with Gerry all the way.
Yes, she's been my companion.
When you first met Bill, did you know what you were in for?
No. We were in for a farming life, possibly in Australia or Canada. It happened, I think, because we bought Trout House and we had to furnish it. There were lots of chairs about without their seats in, and the people who seated chairs were the blind. And I think the school that taught the blind to reseat those chairs closed down. So we rang around and found a blind man who would teach me. That was interesting too, teaching it all by feel. Other people heard that we could reseat chairs, and so antique dealers would come and say, "Can you do this one?" You ask Bill what was the start, he might say something different.
She was part of this whole business of trying to record it for posterity rather than as some sort of quirky rural idyll. She worked with me throughout the British Isles and in other countries abroad. Well, actually, there are places that she didn't like to go, and I don't blame her at all. Anyway, she's been all over the place with me, always being able to be there to make the situation work. And terrific at photography too, you know. I mean, I would have 2 cameras on the go on tripods, you know. She would just be changing the roll film as I'm working. I don't need to say, I need you to put another film in there. She sees I've got to the end, she puts, you know, and all that. So it's a team effort. We know what we're trying to do. And it's been such fun, you know. So thank you, Gerry.
You're welcome.
The Cotton collection, which now resides at the Museum of the Home, includes over 350 regionally provenanced chairs.
Does my heart good to see them. They've all got a story to tell.
I was director of the museum for 25 years and retired about 7 years ago. So I was here when Bill was still very actively working on regional furniture, and I got to know about him and joined the Regional Furniture Society in order to keep up with his work. I was so struck by the way he talked about furniture. That was what really impressed me. If you showed him or he was talking about a piece of furniture, he would engage people very directly in what the piece of furniture was and why it was the way it was, which was something that, you know, with the sort of decorative arts approach to furniture, you rarely get some of that the sort of close relationship between the object and the people who made it.
This chair here is really one of the famous chairs because it was made by a maker called Philip Clisset, who lived at Bosbury in Worcestershire. We know that he could make one a week, which he took to the local market to sell. And one of the arts and crafts movement in the late 19th century happened to walk past his workshop. And he was so taken by the fact that this man cut his own wood, it's made of ash, and actually cut his rushes from the local river to make the seats. And he took this back to the Art Workers Guild in London, who now have a huge collection of them. And it became a kind of central part of their thinking in terms of what a man could do in his workshop, living in a thatched roof cottage. It still stands in Bosbury. Fortunately, we have a photograph of him actually in his workshop. It's a unique thing, and it's been a wonderful insight into how this man, Philip Clisset, did his work. It demonstrated the purity of local craft work.
There's something about chairs that are so much linked to the domestic across different communities, across different countries. It's something which unites us all, the concept of a chair, a place to sit. And I think that there's all of that at the heart of the collection, as well as it being a great kind of researched source about how the chairs are made and where they were made and who might have made them.
It's because the furniture that common people lived with in their everyday lives, lived with and worked with, they were things that they needed just to be a family or to be a unit where they brought up children in their household and they grew old together. That furniture becomes part of the very essence of life. And if you compare that with the kind of furniture which is traditionally looked at by museums, where the furniture is a kind of a decorative object which goes into a decorative space. But those rooms they're sort of for parade rather than for living, and you don't really get the sense of people ever really using it, you know. But if you look at a common kitchen chair, you know people have used it, and you can see it in the way the thing is twisted and bent and conformed to, you know, the way in which the wood has the wood has behaved since it was made, the kind of floor that it was put on where it was all uneven stone flags, and on the wear on the arms where people's sort of sweaty hands have forever sort of made that wonderful sort of colour on the arms, you know.
The collection is accompanied by the most significant archive of information yet compiled and illustrated about regional furniture produced in all parts of the British Isles and in many other countries where the British settled during the 18th and 19th centuries. The Cotton Archive of British Regional Furniture is accompanied by 2 indexes of regional furniture makers in England, one for chair makers and the second for cabinet and other furniture makers. The Chair Makers Index is now published by BIFMO, British and Irish Furniture Makers Online, supported by the Furniture History Society. And the second includes over 20,000 names of furniture makers predominantly during the 19th century and into the 20th century. This index is currently pending publication by BIFMO.
The first thing I want to say is a tribute to David Dewing. I want to tell you that he came over the years, 5 or 6 years, to annotate my archive and meticulously bringing it to fruition and completing it. It's one thing to start a project like that, it's quite another to actually finish it, isn't it?
Before it came to the museum, I suggested that perhaps it would be helpful if I helped them to catalogue it, because although it was quite well organised, it wasn't catalogued. And in order to get a catalogue for it, you have to go through page by page and annotate or list everything that's in the file, and then make it into a spreadsheet, make it into a simple database. That's what I've helped them to do. It took, rather than 2 years, it took 5 years.
It's already been said this afternoon about Claire Conybeare's work. Is Claire actually here now? Oh, there she is. Put your hand up, Claire. I want you to be seen. Because this lady, when she retired, she rang me and said, have you got a research project that I could do in my retirement? I said, how about 4 or 5? And she came up, and I was pleased to say to her that we have one of the great finds in regional furniture, which is the Breer Archive. And Claire has taken that on as her research project. And she will be publishing it, I think, in a year's time, perhaps, Claire. She's worked on it a lot. But in addition to that, she has also taken all the record cards that Gerry and I produced. I think it was 20,052, I've got a note here, furniture makers that we recorded. But I want to say that Claire's work in getting the material from the record cards and digitising it has now been completed. So thank you very much for that, Claire. There's one person called Rose Smith. Now, Rose is a neighbour of mine in Cirencester, where we live, and she had been talking to me about the adventure of doing research. And Rose, I hope, now she's volunteered for me to record those sort of experiences that we had. I hope she too sticks the course and we end up with a new piece of evidence about regional furniture research. So thank you, Rose, for that. I want to just thank too the people that have worked on BIFMO. Laurie Lindy, really, she is a great soldier in the whole history of furniture history in this country, the way that she's sticking at it and doing the work that needs doing. So thank you very much for that. When we got to the point recently where we knew that digitising the archive was the key to getting the information out on a world basis, and we knew that it would cost about £65,000 to have it done, which was quite a challenge to us to raise that money. And there are 3 people here amongst us who made this possible. And I do want to honour them for doing that and seeing the purpose of it and seeing the importance of it. And the first is Nick and Anne Summers down there, you might know from the Antique Trade Gazette. Good to see you here, John. And John Parry, where's John? There he is. Thank you, John. And finally, Richard Pace with his great foundation, The Woven, which is well known by people who seek help in the arts. Here he is today. Let's have a look at you, Richard, please. And his daughter, Adriana. They have decided to make up the sum of money. So we actually have, I believe it's about 70,000 actually in hand now to go forward to have it digitised. That's a wonderful achievement for us. And thank you very much, you three. I want to come to the museum itself. Sonia, we've thanked you, and sincerely so. And Danielle Patton, is she here? And Louis Plattman, the two curators here, who are going to be responsible for the archive and the collection. And we wish you well with it and hope you can be the next generation of people that push it forward too. So thank you so much. You really are important.
We'd like to make the collection much more accessible. That could be through digitisation, that could also be through events as well. We very much like to see Museum of the Home as a centre for debate and research. And so this is a wonderful place to bring people together to talk about the chair collection and also the importance of chairs generally to how we live and how we conduct our lives.
And the next stage now is to get that digitised so that it can go online and it can be accessed easily at the press of a button and everybody can use it. And that's the dream. And I think it's now that people have given so generously towards that, we can actually achieve that in the next 2 years.
They're very comfortable. Would you like to try and sit in one?
In this one?
Yeah. Would you like to do that?
Yes. It's your chair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you take responsibility? If
I take responsibility.
Did you
Yes.
get that? Yeah. I'm going to sit on the chair now.
Sit on it, yeah. It's very strong. It's had years of hard use in a cottage in Devon.
Very nice.
Lean back a bit. There you are.
Wary of it. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you.